Hi, everyone.
Hello.
Hello.
Everyone. We're back for another chat, and this one is going to be perfect with no audio issues. And we're so happy to welcome Sorab Wadia with us today. Hey, Sorab.
Ciao.
Oh, good. I can hear you. No. Technology.
Okay, I think maybe in the future we just have mimes.
Yeah. Oh, well.
We just do chat with mimes.
We are going to show the best
Emojis and mimes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Medieval
So
mime?
here we are.
Medieval mime. Sorab, suffice it to say, I don't know if I need to ask you how it's going in India right now, but how are you guys?
It's a little crazy. We're waiting for our second vaccines. There are no vaccines to be had. And I don't even want to go into these hospitals because I don't want my mom to be waiting for, a shot for 2.5, 3 hours and get sick while waiting for that shot.
Yeah.
So it's a little crazy. People are dying. There are, I've got friends, and just now I don't think I have anyone I know in hospital, but I've had them most the past month, and it's a little crazy.
Yeah.
And we're just staying as isolated as humanly possible. I took my mother out on a drive. My mother and her maid out on a drive today for we left the apartment for the first time I think she left it in a month.
Wow.
Just in our bubble in our car, and just drove around and came back. That's it. That's nothing. There's nothing. Bombay is pretty. It's not empty, but it's busy by American standards, but it's deserted by Bombay standards.
Right. Well, I remember in 2009, and I am wearing something that I bought from
Your
Fab
beautiful
India.
Salwar kameez from Fab India, which is just a stone's throw from my apartment.
Oh, I know. We had the most amazing time there, but I do remember somebody almost didn't make it to the airport, or it took us like 2 hours to get to the Messiah after party, the night we flew back.
That's right. I remember that because
Yeah.
the traffic was so abysmal.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, the traffic doesn't exist.
Oh,
But
we'll
it's
be
still
right over.
horrible.
So it's a good time to visit.
Yeah.
It would be a great time to visit if it weren't for a virus.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, and speaking of your
It's
mom,
also hot
yeah.
as hell right now, so it's compounded with, it's before the monsoon, so it's very hot, very humid, and the only saving grace is that we have the most beautiful mangoes in the world, April, May, and early June.
Okay.
So if you want the gorgeous mangoes, which they don't exist anywhere else in the world, the Alfonso mango, the Pairi, the Kesari, these breeds.
Yeah.
I mean, Caribbean and Mexican, I'm so sorry to burst your bubble, but no. So if you want to brave the heat, you can have the mangoes.
Oh, okay. Well, I remember being there in January. It was still rather the temperature was a bit warm. So, yes.
Yeah.
But speaking of your mom, we're also celebrating Mother's Day, and we want to say
Indeed.
Happy Mother's Day to all those wonderful mothers, to Kumi, Wadia, and Suzanne, Mark's mom, and my sisters, Carol and Mary Lou, and even the mothers of terrible children.
Can you define?
We hope we're good children.
All the evil children who are ruining the world right now with their ignorance. How's that?
Yeah.
That's very tactfully put.
Okay,
Yeah.
Thank you. So, Sorab, we asked you here because you are, as Mark said, a genre hopper. You are quite the talented, multi-talented actor and singer, and Mark discovered a classical pianist. I mean, that's what you first studied, right?
That was the thing that allowed me to leave India as a teenager, was getting into a conservatory and fleeing Bombay, as it were. But yeah, at a time when not many people were going to America for their bachelor's, I wanted to get out, not for my master's, it was too late. I wanted to get out my bachelor's. So I did, and I went to Peabody, and that's where I met a lot of our mutual Renaissance and early music friends,
Right.
like Mark Sudek and Marianne Ballard. And actually, I didn't meet Marianne there, but we had mutual friends there. And yeah, Peabody was a great experience because it allowed me to sing. All pianists had to take 1 year of voice minor at Peabody in their first year, which is a requirement. And I don't know if they still do that, but that's a phenomenal requirement because the piano being a percussion instrument, to really be able to sing at the piano, you need to know how to sing in life. And so that voice minor became 6 years of voice minor all the way through my master's. And then I got a lot of roles in opera. And that's how I went from piano to opera. And then when I got to New York, I went back to theater because I had been an actor as a child in Bombay. So it sort of all came full circle. And I don't think it's so much genre hopping as it is, I'm just slightly ADD. So whatever genre I'm supposed to be practicing voice right now, I'd rather play the piano. When I was supposed to be practicing the piano, I'd rather be in an opera. Whatever I am, the other one is much more attractive. So I just keep just like a pinballing throughout all. You know.
Well, and when we sang together in a church job, I didn't realize you had that you had this early music connection, and I told Marianne about you for the play of Daniel. Marianne Ballard was the musical director of our production of the play of Daniel with Drew Minter, the wonderful Drew Minter as the director.
Our fearless leader.
Yes. But I recommended you because of your acting. I was like, oh, this guy Sorab, he's fabulous. You have to check him out. And then I also, because you could sing so well, but I didn't realize you had this kind of early music.
I do love the early music.
Yeah.
I do love it. So yeah, her audition was rigorous. Marianne Ballard put me through the paces, but it was fun. I mean, it was like, putting a horse. Can you jump this hurdle? Can you do that? It's like, okay, let's try that one.
How's your French Latin?
My French Latin, actually, I had sung in French Latin before Play of Daniel because I had done Messe de Notre Dame of Machaut.
Wow.
So I had done the Sancti and all that, Kyrie, all that stuff way back before
Nasal,
Play of Daniel.
Nasal yet open somehow.
But so you discovered your singing because you had to take lesson? Or were you
No, I had discovered my singing because my mother is a choral conductor in India, and I had been a boy soprano ever since I was a boy soprano. In 1977 was my first solo. It was in Good King Wenceslas. I was the page. Hither page and stand by me. I remember being the little page boy. And so Peabody was just like, oh, great, let's sing a little more.
Wonderful. Well, speaking of which, let's play a couple clips from the play of Daniel. I don't know which one we have first. Is
whatever.
Is it the one with Sorab singing or the one without Sorab singing?
Well, it's up to your desire at this point.
Well, let's do the one with Sorab singing.
Okay.
It's a little longer one. And just to set up this for the audience, Sorab, this is after Darius becomes the new king, right?
Yeah.
And you are one of the three
Just
princes.
for people who don't know what the Play of Daniel is, it's supposedly one of the first pieces of music drama ever composed in the Western tradition, from 1225 in Beauvais, France, and it tells the story of Daniel and reading the writing on the wall and being thrown in the lion's den, and the lions not eating him, and miracle of miracles, Daniel is saved. And so this bit is when one king overthrows another, the old king's counselors have to curry favor with the new king and really lay on the flattery thick. And so this is the evil princes flattering the new King Darius as he takes over the kingdom. And we're trying to poison his mind against. Daniel. After that, we will poison his mind against Daniel.
Exactly. Okay, let's.
mihi secreti Darius, Armani manifesteris. Rex in aeternum vive. Deferent in tia Kyria, principalibus est gloria, dicati rigorem nominis, omnis preto vigore numinis, per triginta dieris faxi, adorerit Deus omnium. All rex. Sic his ausit contenerario, veniem Dio consilio, et recertem colatir genitas.
All right.
All right.
Beautiful medieval singing. I want to mention also that was Jose Lemos as Darius, the king, and then, of course, James Ruff singing Daniel along with you, Sorab.
Two beautiful singers and such fun colleagues. That whole cast was so fun. We've got to do that show again.
I know.
Because the show is beautiful. The sets are simple but really evocative. And talking about the next clip that you want to show with all the mime acting, Drew Minter is famous for being able to do Baroque stuff and the Baroque gesture and all that. I had never done acting with Baroque gesture before. When you think of something, you think of something. When you're praising God, you're doing, and the hands never split up because medieval paintings always look like this. So we're always mimicking medieval paintings.
Exactly, yeah.
So do not, if anyone's watching this acting, this is medieval acting. This is not Meisner Studio in Manhattan circa 2021.
Well, and I want to mention also what Marianne did. Actually, there was never really a thoroughly composed score or anything. There were basically just the notes, like a
Fragments.
chant, right? And then she, because of the dances from the time, that is how she figured out the different, she made, her arrangements were based on the medieval dance rhythms. So that's how she was able to put so that's why it's such beautiful songs that come out of this, because she put I think that's right.
Absolutely.
I'm sure Marianne will let me know if that's not right, but I'm pretty sure that's how she figured it out, which is really cool. And it just really moves
And it was always, anyone who came to see it just was so beguiled by it.
yeah, definitely.
And because also that Marianne and Drew chose really top-notch people in whether it's playing medieval harp or the rebec or the vielle or the whoever it was top-notch, world class.
Yeah.
So we had the time. It was hard memorizing all that French Latin,
For sure.
but fine. The
Yeah.
whole Te Deum was so evocative.
Let's see that
So,
mime.
yeah,
Oh, yeah, so let's see, now we're going to see.
let's see the mime.
Yeah.
Yeah,
best
go for
mime
it.
acting in medieval play history is coming up right now.
Ornetur veste regia.
He had a brief appearance.
So that's when you have to give up your fur stole to Daniel because
Because the
Peter
king
Walker.
commands it, and I have to do it, and I'm really pissed off about it. So,
but I did.
and I think that's the moment I decide that Daniel's got to die. He's got my first stole, and that bitch better die.
And I took this one because the one that we did at Trinity Wall Street is good too because you stamp. And I remember after that, Drew was like, next time don't stamp quite so hard, Sorab.
I also hit James a little too hard once, and Drew was like, "Could you just not hit James as hard as that?"
Violent. But so we pulled the one from the Cloisters because the camera's on you more, and we liked that. So it really shows.
I do appreciate that.
So yes, I don't know. It's still a possibility to do Daniel again. Unfortunately, we're going to try to do it in Denmark, but that fell through. I mean, it costs money, you know. So any sponsors out there who want to help us put it back on.
Yeah, France,
call.
Denmark, Switzerland, Israel, all good places for this.
Beautiful medieval cathedral in the middle of Lausanne and on the top of the hill there. That would be perfect.
I think I told you that you and I haven't performed there, but my mother has with her choir.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
Actually, several times in the 70s and early, I think even in the 80s. I'm not sure.
Wow.
But yeah,
Well,
so
you never know. You know. But speaking of the wonderful Kumi Wadia, who we adore, we're going to move to show a clip of her conducting of the wonderful Messiah.
because it's Mother's Day, we've got to honor our mamas.
Yes, and this is actually my inaugural videography work because it was dress rehearsal, and I was sitting in the audience with the other soloists and watching this amazing, wonderful historical piece of music being sung by these beautiful people, and I was like, I got to film this. This is amazing. So,
Yeah, I remember your dad saying, "Wow, that camera has such a good sound." And he was really impressed with the sound of the camera.
Right. Yeah, it was. He's a
Silent
decent
Hill and
sound.
Armand.
Yeah. He was kind of an audiophile, your dad, right?
My father was an audiophile. Yeah. He was actually an inventor too. He invented all sorts of audio equipment and stuff.
Wow. That's commented on that. All right, so here's a little excerpt of the Paranjoti Academy Choir singing
Chorus.
singing the beginning of the Messiah. And with the
Hallelujah chorus.
so beautiful. Your mom could get the most beautiful sound out of the choir. I mean, just so linear and holy almost. It's just really great.
That comes from working with an ensemble for nearly 50, and now it's over 50 years, but you know, they know her and she knows them and she knows how to whip them into shape, and they like being whipped into shape.
Yeah.
It was really sad because Mom was going to do a big Bach Mass in B minor. It was 10 days after India went into lockdown last year. And so 10 days, there were soloists coming in from Milan and other places in Europe, and some instrumentalists from Kazakhstan and Russia, and everything was just boom, halted. And then 10 days before and we haven't sung a note since, which is very sad.
Yeah.
So I mean, everyone's got their, everyone's got their pandemic tragedies. This one is my mother's. I mean, compared to as other tragedies go, it's not, there's no loss of life. So
No, but it's a loss of art and culture and
lots of art.
and connection, and there's so many things that
Yeah.
And I wanted to mention that was the Symphony Orchestra of India
That was,
saying that.
yes.
That was- yeah.
With whom she was also going to do the Mass in B minor, right? Yep.
Yes, let's turn to something lighter, which is this YouTube video that you have had several views on, and you were apparently featured in TMZ magazine with.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. It was just being a part of something called Jihad, the musical. That got a lot of fame, a lot of notoriety in 2007 when we did it at the Edinburgh Fringe Festival. And I literally was on all the and because I sang the big song, the big 11 o'clock number, where this wannabe terrorist of limited means dreams of being like Osama bin Laden and being, hitting the jackpot and being globally famous. I was like on every news channel for 2 days, for 3 days. So BBC, Al Jazeera, Radio Japan, NPR, All Things Considered. I made NPR All Things Considered. I know, right? And
As a would-be terrorist.
as a would-be terrorist. And because I was the face of this musical, because I was on all the posters and because I was in the song, I got onto TMZ and one day waking up in the morning, and I called it the 5 Crazy Bitches. It was like Angelina Jolie and Britney Spears and somebody, and then me, and then somebody. I was like, really? There were the 5 lead stories with these 4 women and me, my face, and people were saying the most heinous things about me and saying that I should die. But that comes with the territory of. But they don't understand. They just hear the word jihad, the musical, and they start jumping to conclusions like Americans love to do, and not understanding this parody, this is satire, this is lampooning. So yeah, this is the big number.
All right,
All right, well, I guess we're gonna just lay
watch
this.
it.
I wanna be like Osama. I wanna bomb a path to fame across the earth. I know people may abhor me, but by God they won't ignore me when the CIA determines what I'm worth. I will delegate the killing to the malleable and willing, but be sure to have top billing when the news gets around. Please make me like Osama be. I'll be Islamically renowned. I wanna be like Osama. I want aplomb, allure, and flair that can convince. If I hadn't been so rowdy, they'd have let me stay in Saudi, but I couldn't play the big leagues as a prince. So I film eloquent reminders that the Yanks have yet to find us, though we're happy to attack them on home ground. Please make me like Osama be. I'll be Islamically renowned, and they will speak of me throughout history. Oh, what bliss to be Al-Mansur. I'll enact my plan, be the boogeyman with a brand new holy war. I wanna be like Osama. I wanna wear designer clothes beneath a robe. While my lackeys loom like vultures, I'll declare a clash of cultures, kill civilians by the millions round the globe. Grow a beard down to my navel, conquer YouTube, get on cable, and be wealthier than any man I know. Please make me like Osama be, with an Al Jazeera show. Who could ask for more? To be 6'4". Oh, the name Mansour will be known, and I won't be missed on the wanted list with a jihad of my own. Yes, a jihad of my own. I wanna be like Osama. I want celebrity and riches that astound. Please make me like Osama be. I'll be Islamically renowned. I'll be Islamically renowned.
Oh my God. Bravo.
Outstanding
Thank you.
performance.
Thank you. Props to Zoe Samuel and Ben Shoya, who wrote the lyrics and the music and the lyrics in the book. Two young, at that time, really young kids, like 26, 25, who had this idea. I think it came up with, I think Ben's uncle said, what's the stupidest title? Or what's the least likely thing you should write a musical about? And he goes, jihad? And that's what he wrote a musical about.
Well, I mean, you know, and it's not far from Mel Brooks writing, you know, Springtime for
No.
Hitler, so.
That's exactly it. That's
About,
exactly
you
it.
know.
This is our Springtime for Hitler.
We do need to laugh, and also it's making fun of everything, not just the stupidity.
Oh yeah, and the show was very even-handedly mocking American politics, American news cycle. That
And look where we are now, you know, because of that. So yeah, exactly.
yeah, and sadly things haven't changed. They've only gotten worse.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Well, that's fantastic. And by the way, that was in 2007. You look
Yeah, then
fabulous.
we did it on the West End in 2010,
Okay. But
and
was
then
in
that
New York.
was
West
that-
End.
never came. You know what? No producer wanted to touch it in New York.
Yeah. God, amazing.
No one wanted to touch it in New York.
Well, Mark is involved in doing sound design for a play about 9/11, but not here in Geneva. So
Yeah.
that's
Right.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
it's been performed in the United States,
In
right?
schools.
Yeah. Which is
Yeah.
interesting. Anyway, yes. So it's a little bit like walking on eggshells, you know. But I think it's
Yep.
important.
Yeah.
I mean, I know it's important. We have to expose everything, look at everything, dissect everything.
The show was really even-handed, and it was really funny, and it was really smart.
Yeah.
I mean, whippersnapper smart. I mean, just
Well,
it was amazing,
those are
and it
definitely
was fun to be a part of.
right.
Yeah,
Right. Yeah. I
despite
bet.
the death threats.
Oh, jeez. You and Salman.
Oh,
Anyway, moving on to something a little heavier. No, I'm kidding. So Sorab, during the pandemic or before you started, I mean, I know you've always been involved in Shakespeare. You did The Merchant of Venice in Venice, which is incredible.
right. I was the first person ever to play Shylock in the Jewish ghetto, which was a huge deal for me. It was an amazing experience. Karen Coonrod was the director. It was the 500th anniversary of the founding of the ghetto.
Wow.
And 400 years of Shakespeare's death coinciding, and so this was a landmark production in Venice, in the open air, and it was a truly memorable experience. And it's come to America, and hopefully, like the play of Daniel, will be resurrected and taken places as well. But we played Yale, Dartmouth, Montclair universities, and other places. Yeah.
Oh, that was
So-
cool. That was wonderful.
And so yeah, in the pandemic, it became I did a virtual Hamlet. With a bunch of lovely people from around the world, from mostly America, France, Italy, and a couple of us from India. And I met a director there who loves working on Shakespeare. He's a scholar and a director and an acting teacher, and we just hit it off. So I've been working on the sonnets myself for years, ever since. I think in high school we learned our first one in India, let me not to the marriage of true minds admit impediments, which everyone knows. And then at Peabody, I also took acting because I took singing, I took acting, and one of them was a Shakespeare class, and I did a couple of sonnets for that. And that's when I fell in love with them. I found that there was a sonnet for all occasions. I mean, not really, because there really are love poems, either hating love or loving love. There are some that are really, really hateful and really bitter. But I did one that when I had just come out of the closet. It was 94. We had just gone and performed with Rostropovich in Zurich and in Evian, across the lake from Lausanne. And I came back and I decided now is the time to come out of the closet. And that semester, she said, choose a sonnet. And I literally opened my sonnet book, and it happened to be sonnet 121. Shall I say it?
Sure. Absolutely.
Did I do it?
Yeah.
Why not?
Okay. It's about, if you're going to be bad, or if you do what you think is right, don't do what others think you should be. You know. So let's see if I didn't prepare this one, but let's go. 'Tis better to be vile than vile esteemed, when not to be receives reproach of being, and the just pleasure lost, which is so deemed not by our feeling, but by others seeing. For why should others' false, adulterate eyes give salutation to my sportive blood? Or on my frailties, why are frailer spies, which in their wills count bad, what I think good? No, I am that I am, and they that level at my abuses reckon up their own. I may be straight, though they themselves be bevel. By their rank thoughts, my deeds must not be shown, unless this general evil they maintain, all men are bad, and in their badness reign. And I loved it that
That's beautiful.
that
Wow.
you know that if even though I'm gay, I may be straight and you may be bevel
Yeah.
or twisted, you know, and I don't care what you think. I'd rather be vile. If I'm going to be vile, let me be vile. I'll be happy and vile and in my, you know, true to myself. I am that I am. And just the fact that I opened up the book to that sonnet at that time in my life,
Yeah. And
it
it's-
just,
yeah.
it was, yeah.
Kismet.
Sorry?
Kismet.
Indeed.
And
So this,
just the way
this,
you describe, it's so wonderful to just get your interpretation of it, and then when you recite it, it's like it all comes together because it is follow the language is a little difficult, you know, the poetry.
yes, yes. I
Just
think,
hearing
I
it
mean,
first.
any poetry is going to be, oh, the thing I hate most, I feel like a dumbass, but when you open the New Yorker, I look at the cartoons first, then I read the editorials, then I read the short story. I may read an article, but the one thing I never read are the poems
I know.
because they make no sense to me because I feel stupid. So I think poetry at the best of times is oblique and has many layers and you've got to explore it. And when you compound that with an older form of English, modern but older, you've got to read them a couple of times, you got to crack them a little bit, you got to wrestle with them. And so yeah, it's not an easy thing,
No,
but it's fun for me.
yeah. Well, in the way, it's just wonderful how you relate to the sonnets, and you bring them, you make them, you give them immediacy. You make them modern to our ears, you know. So yeah,
That's mission accomplished.
yeah. So and I know you had actually prepared because we've been talking about loss and everything that we've lost this whole time, you know, during the pandemic. And
Yeah, there are a whole ton of sonnets about, him being separated from his lover, whether it's a man or a woman. Sometimes it's a man, sometimes it's a woman, sometimes it's platonic, sometimes it's not platonic. But there are lots of sonnets about that you being there, I being here. And those are, really resonating with me at this time while we are all so far apart.
yes.
And so a couple of those I'd love to do. This is the famous one. It's number 29. When in disgrace with fortune and men's eyes, I all alone beweep my outcast state, and trouble deaf heaven with my bootless cries, and look upon myself and curse my fate, wishing me like to one more rich in hope, featured like him with friends possessed, desiring this man's art and that man's scope, with what I most enjoy, contented least. Yet in these thoughts, myself almost despising, haply I think on thee, and then my state, like to the lark at break of day, arising from sullen earth, sings hymns at heaven's gate. For thy sweet love remembered, such wealth brings, that then I scorn to change my state with kings.
Fantastic. Wow.
I love it, because we are all thinking about people that are not here and lovers that are separated. And another one very similar to that is the one that follows, is Sonnet 30, which talks about like when I'm just thinking and contemplating or meditating to myself, and a thought of you, a thought of people that have gone by flashes in my mind, and I get sadder and sadder, and I think of all the sadnesses in my past, and I cry about them again as if I didn't cry about them before. But the one ray of hope in the middle of all this doo-doo this fecal matter that is life, especially in the pandemic, is my thought of you. If I think of you, all is good. So,
Okay, beautiful.
when to the sessions of sweet and thought, I summon up remembrance of things past. I sigh the lack of many a thing I sought, and with old woes, new wail my dear time's waste. Then can I drown an eye unused to flow for precious friends hid in death's dateless night, and weep afresh love's long since cancelled woe, and moan the expense of many a vanished sight. Then can I grieve at grievances foregone, and heavily from woe to woe tell o'er the sad account of fore bemoaned moan, which I knew pay as if not paid before. But if the while I think on thee, dear friend, all losses are restored, and sorrows end. I just love it. I think, in the time that we are all losing precious friends, and I love this image of being the precious friends hid in death's dateless night. It's dateless and it's endless. They're gone into the night forever. At a time when there were no paintings, there were no pictures. You have to be rich to get your portrait painted. So when you died, you were only going to be alive in this person's mind. And so the lover is fortunate to be emblazoned in Shakespeare in the writer's memory. And it's a beautiful thing.
Yeah,
So
I think we completely forget. Now pictures are so
ubiquitous.
Yeah, they're everywhere, and they kind of wasteful. So many pictures for so many things that adds up to what? Adds up to a full hard drive, basically.
Absolutely, and the millions and millions of selfies taken, on a daily basis. And those days there was not. And so he writes a lot of sonnets too about, when you are dead, how will you be remembered? You can have a child that will look like you and that will take your name forward. So the first 17 sonnets are all about. We think that it was commissioned by a man who was probably gay. His mother commissioned Shakespeare to write these poems to her son, saying, "Hey, get married and have a child." So the first 17 are all about that.
Wow.
And then, but the rest of them often have, when you will be dead, the black ink, this poem, what I'm writing about you now will live forever. So you may be gone, but this black ink will be there forever. And so, a whole bunch of them about that.
It's incredible how much we've lost the ability to have good memory and memorization. I remember reading about the librettist for the Mozart. Oh, I can't remember his name now.
Da Ponte.
Yes, and he
Lorenzo da
actually
Ponte.
ended up teaching at Columbia University, and he's buried.
He's buried in New York City.
That's right, yeah. But
He's buried in New York City.
he had all these different careers, and one was an orator. He would debate, and they would just, without any script or anything, just go on and on for hours. It's just incredible. And then when I'm like, oh, I have
That
to
is a
memorize
lost
the
art form.
song,
Think
it's
of
so
the.
hard. Yeah.
Right. Think of the, in India, the Rig Veda or the Vedas or the Bhagavad Gita or the, all these big texts that were just chanted and passed on with a verbal oral tradition.
Right.
Or the Greek stuff, or,
The key
So,
is that they were chanted. There was some
Oh,
Yes.
melody to
prosody,
it.
Yeah. They were connected
prosody,
to
so-
Absolutely.
the melody.
Absolutely.
You remember a song if you remember the melody, it helps you remember the lyrics, and vice
Right.
versa.
Yeah.
Right.
We always have to put a little science in every chat, Sorab.
We must. There is science to poetry. It's an art form, but it's also got meter and rhythm and a whole bunch of little things that I don't even know. Sometimes my coach points it out about
Formula?
alliteration or
Yeah.
sorry.
Formula. There's a formula. Yeah.
And then you have a genius like Shakespeare who knows how to break the formula and when he breaks it and why he breaks it, and then that's what's. And I think once you brought up the fact that are you sure Shakespeare wrote these?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure he wrote them because the brain that wrote these is so so unique. It could have been no one else but this one man.
Exactly.
You know, his brain, his art.
Well, like Bach or Mozart, I mean, they had all of this work, such as, piles and piles and, just incredible, mountainous.
And it
work.
has to be easy. It has to be easy. Otherwise, Mozart couldn't have written, 27 piano concertos and 40 whatever symphonies if they didn't come out fast.
Yeah.
But that's why it's genius, because he do it fast. What I could probably write a Mozart symphony. It would probably take me 10 years. Have to look at all my counterpoint and do the melody, and then, I could do it. If I put a gun to my head, I could write a Mozart symphony badly, but I couldn't do it in 2 days like I did.
Exactly, yeah.
I can't, So, yeah.
Sorab, I remember in honor of mothers, I know you have a sonnet that's like loosely connected to motherhood, but I remember how beautiful it is, and it would be nice.
Oh, he mentions sonnets. He mentions mothers in 4 sonnets, but none of them are about motherhood. This one is about a mother, a baby who is put down because his mother is chasing a chicken. And the baby starts to cry and wants to run after his mother. And Shakespeare tells his lover, you can run after all the chickens you want, anyone that gets your, but I'll be the child, I'll be sitting here crying for you. And when you catch your chicken, whatever that may be, turn back to me and, and mother me a little bit. So, and we will talk about a little pun in it afterwards, after that, but. Lo, as a careful housewife runs to catch one of her feathered creatures broke away, sets down her babe and makes all swift dispatch in pursuit of the thing she would have stay, whilst her neglected child holds her in chase, cries to catch her, whose busy care is bent to follow that which flies before her face, not prizing her poor infant's discontent. So runst thou after that which flies from thee, whilst I, thy babe, chase thee afar behind. But if you catch thy hope, turn back to me and play the mother's part. Kiss me, be kind. So will I pray that thou mayest have thy will, if thou turn back and my loud crying still. I love it because if the will of the lover is to chase other lovers and go away, and he says, you can have your will as long as you come back and have will Shakespeare. So that will is a capital W.
Oh.
I pray that thou mayest have thy will if you turn back, if thou turn back and my loud crying still. Now that's poetry, so you can't do a capital or a uppercase W with your speech, but if you were reading it, you would see, why did he capitalize that will? Because he's talking about Billy Boy Shakespeare.
It's amazing. The words are just so beautiful, and it's amazing poetry. Poetry is pretty wonderful, right?
Yeah, too bad he didn't write poems. I mean, motherhood is a huge deal in his work.
Yes, in the play.
In the plays, and I mean, or the absence of a mother, the fact that Shylock, his wife has died and his daughter is, motherless, is a huge deal in Merchant of Venice. He talks about it all the time. Shylock bemoans the fact that he's not got his wife. So motherhood does play a part, or, Hamlet's mama who marries his daddy's brother, or, all sorts of motherhood. Yeah. I really would have loved to do the pair of the one with the four essence of the body. Have we got time, or we don't have time, do we?
Time for one more?
Yeah, we have one more. We
I mean,
can close with that one.
Yeah, close with that one. If you could give a little explanation first.
Sure. So these are 2 sonnets back to back that he wrote, 44 and 45, where he talks about, in the old days, they thought that the body was consisted of 4 things: earth, water, wind, and fire. And so he thinks that water and earth are heavy. My tears are water, my flesh is earth. My sex drive, my lust, and my love are fire. And thoughts, my love, are the wind. And so while my body is sitting over here, my love and my lust and my thoughts, the quicker, lighter elements are with you because you're so far away. So these are two sonnets, if the dull substance of my flesh were thought, and the other two. So you'll hear them. And I'll just go straight through them because they're a pair. So. If the dull substance of my flesh were thought, injurious distance should not stop my way, for then, despite of space, I will be brought from limits far remote, where thou dost stay. No matter then, my foot did stand upon the farthest earth removed from thee, for nimble thought can jump both sea and land as soon as think the place where he would be. But thought kills me that I am not thought, to leap large lengths of miles where thou art gone. But that so much of earth and water wrought, I must attend time's leisure with my moan, receiving naught by elements so slow but heavy tears, badges of either's woe. The other two, slight air and purging fire, are both with thee wherever I abide. The first my thought, the other my desire. These present absent with swift motion slide. For when these quicker elements are gone in tender embassy of love to thee, my life, being made of four, with two alone sinks down to death, oppressed with melancholy, until life's composition be recured by those swift messengers returned from thee, who even but now come back again assured of thy fair health, recounting it to me. This told, I joy, but then no longer glad, I send them back again, and straight grow sad. He's saying he's half a man, like his body and his tears are here, but his other part is there, so he's a fractured man, and he's fractured and he's going to die without his love. Yeah. So that's for all lovers and friends separated by our wonderful virus.
Yeah, exactly. Sorab, thank you so much for being with us and sharing your beautiful talents, and I can't wait to see you in person and to work with you again. Oh. You never know. Maybe the play of Daniel, maybe something else. You know, Mr. Jefferson's musicians. I know there's all sorts of possibilities.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about that concert we did. Oh, about American colonial music and Thomas Jefferson. That was a fun concert.
So you never know.
I only did one show.
Yes, I know. Yeah. And so there's always possibilities and opportunities, and the light is growing brighter at the end of the tunnel, and the buzzer rings.
The buzzer rings.
That's a sign.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much. Everybody,
oh, it's so much fun. Yeah. Lots of love to you guys. See you soon.
Gotta get the door. Bye, everybody.